the student load, and that is time goes on, and that because we're down significantly, I think, in our by but so it would be interesting to see if we continue to recover more as the year goes on, or will we flat if we stay flat.
Yeah, I'll work with staff to develop probably a 3-year, and then each month can build on the previous 3 years.
Yeah.
Do a comparison as we go.
We're good. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Any other questions on the financials?
Thank you. And we've done the audit. And how about the report on the quarterly meeting? Was it Mrs. Richardson, Mr. Heisey, and Ms. Hendricks?
Okay, from HPE, it was Louise Johnson and Courtney Geringer reporting to us, and they were saying teachers are very happy with their new monitors. Thank you especially repetitively to Nick for the installation, the troubleshooting, and making sure everything goes smoothly and seamlessly. Students can hear, and they really are enjoying the monitors. It's helping with their ability to watch the videos. Lunches, the teachers down at HPE are liking the student-teacher interactions, allowing for kind of a more family-style dinner table setting in the classroom. And they specifically said janitorial staff is all over it, helping them with the expected, sometimes messes in the rooms. The teachers stressed how amazing they've been, but it's allowing for a more family-style atmosphere and positive interactions between the teachers and the students. More Chromebooks are helpful, especially with the iReady programs, allowing students to work at their level and for us to better assess them. Teachers are enjoying smaller class sizes at the lower primary school grades, allowing for the building of their relationships. It allows the teachers to meet their needs a lot more rapidly. Fence around where the drain is having some issues down at the HPE playground under the covered area, I think, is really, really helpful. Behaviors are being addressed very quickly at HPE. Megan Keplinger has done an amazing job, were the exact words, keeping on top of behaviors, and the teachers are very much appreciative of that. They're concerned about the frosty area, the steep slope that goes down into the covered area at HPE, where it slopes down next to the gym. Can we be more proactive in planning for inclement weather, getting out there with the salt or the de-icer, because it is not, they're concerned about the students and themselves getting hurt. They asked about a walking path from the parent parking lot down at HPE to the covered area, kind of keeping them out of the way of the buses, the students getting on and off the bus, and something that's a little bit more easy to navigate, especially with family members picking up kids, and the parents, family members, whomever picking up might have some mobility issues. Sometimes that hill is difficult for them to navigate. Concern about upper elementary class sizes and worried about safety. Lack of subs. The wellness program is not being staffed. Discussed paycheck errors and said that creating some stress, and they felt inconsistent communication. They're working with Dr. Hattrick right now to get prep time issues resolved when, for example, a class like PE is canceled, any of the special classes, not allowing a teacher to have prep time. So they're working on that to resolve that issue with him. The whole umbrella of school, this was something specifically said, is trying to tell us that we're back to normal when we are not there. The pandemic isn't over, and they feel that just remember we're still in it. The back to business as normal during the pandemic is troubling to them. High school, junior, senior high school. Increased communication, thank you very much, between the teachers and the admin, allowing them to get things resolved. There's concern over mass exodus of teachers from education. Paycheck errors, it sounded like some are resolved, some are being worked on. Coaches in junior high school, discussion about them being bus drivers and compensation for that. They're worried about workloads with the teachers, leading to increased stress. Concern about everyone getting observed this year, meaning employee reviews, the time being allotted for it. They have to prepare for those meetings ahead of time. Concern over student behaviors at the junior high and high school level. Language is bad. Students can swear at the teachers. Students are skipping class. They're concerned about not having a disciplinary plan in place until no detention until November. No feedback on referrals, they said, and mask mandates, not being able to enforce a student not wearing masks. Did I get everything, guys?
Thank you, Mr. Heisey, Ms. Richardson, and Ms. Hendricks for attending tonight. I appreciate that. I know it's extra time. I think that's it for our reports. So now, time for public comment. Tonight's meeting is designed to keep presentations and deliberations efficient and effective. The board will not comment, but will listen only. They may choose to call your name for public testimony at the end of the meeting. If your topic is a non-agenda item, the board may choose not to address your request if your topic is outside the scope of the board's governance. We ask that you remember Oregon law prohibits us from discussing specific employees or their job performance. If you wish to speak, please complete the public comment form and submit to the board secretary. So I have a comment from Darla Buck. Oh, nope. I'm going to go with Mr. McKinney is here. Would you like to make your comment?
My name's Glenn McKinney. How you guys doing? So I printed this out for you guys to see. I found this on multiple sources. I did a little research, and if you Google it, you find out these people had passed away, but it doesn't tell you why they had passed away. But if you you get on other browsers, it will actually tell you that most of these people, or all of them, had the COVID-19 vaccine. So this is just a little bit of it. Several people have been harmed or have died from the vaccines. We are trying to get this information out to the public so that you can make an informed decision regarding to take the COVID-19 vaccine. Our government and our media are stopping this information. Please research this information. If you go to the CDC's VAERS website, they give figures of deaths, adverse reactions to the vaccine. There are many reported, and this only covers a small percentage of the people harmed. So these are like athletes. It's just information on athletes. And some of them fell flat dead on the field after taking the vaccine. And the others died at home, but it wasn't long after they took the vaccine. You can look at it, you can Google them, and it says that they're dead, and they've died recently. So some of them are from America, and some of them for different countries. I'm not gonna I'm not going to read them all, but I would just strongly suggest that you all and everybody listening makes an informed decision before taking that. Yeah, and if you're Googling the information, you're not going to find accurate information. If you use different browsers, you actually find what happened to them. At this point, do we really think this is all about a virus? With other countries using preventative drugs, and their COVID numbers are completely, very, very, very small. For India is one of them. So they're using preventative drugs for their people. And America's the richest country, the most powerful country on the planet, and we can't do that. India's doing it. I mean, there's a big. It's very clear to see. A lot of us hear about what happens in the school, and it's very troubling. And the students are here to learn, and the criteria that we're giving them, what we hear, they're not even learning at this point. So, I mean, not just about COVID, but it's about multiple different things. And I can only tell the parents that they should pull their children out of public schools as soon as possible.
Time's up.
And,
Thank you.
yep. And I hope people stop complying, because that's the only way this is going to end.
So the next comment is from Ms. Buck. She had asked that her name not be included. However, we have to have public comment be identified. She was concerned about retaliation. I would have to say that I understand her feelings, and just would like that to be shared before I read her comment. My husband and I would love to attend this meeting. However, because it is a higher risk, we do not feel safe. This is because we have noticed that there are some people who are allowed to be present in the small boardroom without being masked, despite it being required. This is not fair to those of us who are trying our best to keep our neighbors safe by following state mandates. Please either enforce the policy or have board meetings be closed to the public and available to view on our YouTube channel. Thank you. And we do still have people in the room without masks on. So up next, we have a discussion on board member attendance, board policy BBD. Oh, never mind. Next, we have consent agenda. I have too many notes on here. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
You've already said you were abstaining. It would be more proper if you did not participate.
Okay, I won't. I take my movement back.
Ms. Usher is a
I'll
second.
second.
Was there discussion? Mr. Harding. Go ahead.
How does, the temporary notion vary from a regular hire? Is it something to do with their time that they expect, or the time, or their licensing?
Both. So we can't go too far down specific personnel, but I think it would sum it up to say this school year. So it's a shorter term contract.
Were there any other questions about the consent agenda?
I will likely abstain from this vote. Thank you very much for ethical reasons.
hear her pretty well. And I guess that's subject to interpretation because there was so much that she said that I wasn't able to hear. So I just like to make note of that, you know.
Did somebody make this comment that tonight's connection via phone was good and clear, or was this just a reference to? Okay. Any other comments? Okay. All those in favor of approving tonight's consent agenda, raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those opposed, and we have 1 abstention. Now, we are ready for the discussion on board member attendance policy BBD. Dr. Hattrick.
All right, so at board's request, we went ahead and we compared the Rainier School District BBD against most of the other school districts in Columbia County, all of which matched ours perfectly. So what we found out when we pulled the Oregon Revised Statute, which is in the last page of your binder, that's our policy is ORS 332.030. So that causes some challenges when we're talking about the board removal from office policy. However, one of the things in conversations with the Oregon School Board Association, there could be some options to explore around better defining what attendance looks like. So if we're meeting in person, attendance would be constituted through an in-person attendance. Same with virtual. So I wanted to bring this forward for discussion, and if it's the board's wishes, I'd be happy to investigate this through legal channels just to make sure that we're in good legal standing to look at some of those policies.
Did anybody have any? Go ahead, Mr. Harding.
Not only is it an attendance issue, it's also a residency issue on that. The statute is clear on if you're not a resident of the district and policy, if you're not a resident of the district, you cannot be on the board on that. And one of the statutes has some explanations of what residency is and that. So if a person is now a resident in Dallas, Texas, they're no longer a resident of the Rainier School District. On that, they cannot be on the board. That leads us to some issues of if that is allowed to continue, and a voting pattern happens, where it could lead to some legal, things in the voting. If a person is not supposed to be a board member, but it doesn't say how that you determine that person's not a board member. I mean, how we do it.
Right.
On that, but ethically, a person that has moved out of the district should resign from the board. If that does not happen, and the community is in the mind that they should not be allowed to continue, then a recall would be the next option. And that is the opinion of the county person, is that it probably is going to require a recall. But I think that it gets very clear if that person is no longer has a residence in the district, then they're not a board member. I don't know if the board has to declare it, but that's something that I think you should find out from the district attorney or district lawyer.
Right.
The district's attorney, not the district attorney, yeah.
When you mentioned residency, was that an ORS that you saw?
Yes, it's in ORS 332
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You're
know,
referencing that.
C.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
on that, but there is a different, I don't have it with me today, but it explains residency in the state manner, but if you apply it to the district, I think it is applicable.
Yeah, I'm happy to research those things.
Yeah, I think the challenge is there's no clear way for us as fellow board members to determine if somebody's a resident or not a resident. And we don't have any policy statement that says you have to attend the way that, the meeting is advertised or whatever.
However,
Yeah.
she's not attending, even when she attends virtually, she's only half here because you can't understand what she's saying. My other concern is she's the vice chair, and I think that leaves this group an extremely disadvantage by her being the vice chair and not physically attending these meetings or having some type of virtual way that she can actually connect with everyone. So, those are my two big things is ideally, I guess, I would hope that she did what I felt is the right thing and resign so that we can get a vice chair and have somebody fill her position that is actually going to be able to attend on a regular basis.
I don't disagree. I think we're all on the same page. Mr. Harding?
One of the conditions that was pointed out to me on the residency thing is where you sleep at night. If you sleep in Dallas, Texas versus Rainier, on that, you have no residence in Rainier, then it's on that. And the statute says that if you're no longer a resident of Oregon, you're no longer a resident of Oregon if your only residence is out of state. But I think one of the things I would like to have cleared up legally is it effective if the board declares the position open? Is that something that the board can do?
Well, we would have to be able to legally declare that. I mean, we could declare it open, but if we're not following what the definition is, then
Right.
I think there's probably an easier way to do this, is just have Dr. Hattrick have a conversation, ask Dr. Hattrick, or I'm happy to have the conversation, if she's a resident here, if she still resides in Rainier and serves the people of the Rainier School District, and if she doesn't, is she intending to continue her term on the board? And if she is, then, we need to let people know so that a recall campaign can start, if that's the choice. Just 1 second. Mr. Heisey, you were next.
As I recall from last month's board meeting, I do recall Ms. Hollander stating that she is still a resident of the Rainier District, that she still owns her home, and this is her main residence right here. That's my recollection.
I was going to point the same thing out, but I do remember that she said that, she is a resident and she does pay taxes in the state of Oregon. However, there's a big part of being on a board member, and that requires them to be here to participate. Doesn't matter whether you live or not. I can have a house in Oregon and be an Oregon resident. I can have a home in Arizona and spend 6 months out of the year. So what is my residency?
Right. Well, I mean,
I
if
could
we,
be on the board and
yeah.
be in Arizona for 6 months.
right, we could all do this.
Yeah,
We could all
absolutely.
just go to wherever we want to go and phone it in, which does nothing for the people that live here.
Right.
So, I mean, we're all on the same, you guys are not, you don't have to convince me. Is there any further comment? Would you all like me to follow up with Kari, and then we can have Dr. Hattrick check with legal? Do we want to try to change our policy so that we're all attending in the same method? What's your pleasure?
I would like to see you follow up
Okay.
with Kari and Dr. Patrick, the legal. And then at that point, if we need to amend the policy, then, you know, we can go that direction.
Dr. Hattrick, do you have anything else to add to this conversation?
No, but what I have summarized here is checking with legal about residency requirements, attendance definition potentially with regard to our current policies, and then happy to also have conversations with her if you would like.
Good.
So thank you.
Okay, if nothing further on that, we will go to B, response to public comment, policy BDDH. And I'm not certain, I think we were talking about number 5, questions asked by the public when possible will be answered immediately by the board chair or referred to the superintendent for reply. Questions requiring investigation may, at the discretion of the board chair, be referred to the superintendent for response at a later date. At least that was what we had talked about after the prior meeting. Is that correct, Mr. Harding?
I brought it up because I think in our discussion, I think the way we're handling it doesn't appear to be very friendly. And I was hoping to have a little discussion about making it more friendly for people that are making comments to the board, and for board members who would like to have an answer given to them on that. And in my experience so far, I didn't think that it appeared to be very friendly either direction on that. So that's why I brought it up.
So I think it's an interesting comment to say that something is not friendly. I don't know that there's a requirement to be friendly when people are giving you comment. And if there's nothing to respond to, so I'll use tonight's public comment as an example. What am I going to respond to? Ideological differences?
Well, that's a poor, I would have to say that could be summarized as a poor example, but we have had some examples that are pretty spot on, and that sort of thing, and I don't think it is something that we need to. This one that you would like to respond because there's so much inaccuracy, but in my opinion.
Well, and that's the problem I have. I mean, the last couple months, it seems like, and I can't think of any that haven't fit into that category necessarily, or were things that we were aware of, and I could be wrong. I don't have anything poking out in my head. But the bulk of them that I am recalling have been ideological. And what am I going to say? I don't agree with you? I mean, it's your right to come and tell me whatever you want to tell me. I don't have to agree with you, but I do have to listen to you for 3 minutes.
I'm concerned about when addressing something, a specific question immediately at a meeting is running afoul of the public meetings law because it wasn't on the agenda. If it's not a topic that we were there to discuss tonight. I'm not saying I disagree with directing Dr. Hattrick or Dr. Placido to follow up with a community member's question, but I worry about getting into that murky area of having a discussion that wasn't on our agenda.
So I think the challenge is, and Mr. Harding, you may help me remember this a little bit better, but through the occasional conflicting training that we've had over the last couple years, we've gone like from the you'll kindly respond to people to you don't respond to anybody. And so now we kind of have almost conflicting messages in our policy says that we'll respond. So what I read, that number 5 says the board chair will respond or will direct the superintendent to respond. But the little verbiage that we read off in here is like, I'm going to set the timer for 3 minutes, and when you're done talking, sit down. And so it feels to me like we need to better reflect what our policy is in what we say and how we act. That's what it feels like to me.
I have a
Hendricks?
comment. And the thing that comes to my mind is when I sit on the other side, as a citizen, and I remember that Mr. Blue gave an athletic report. I had a question. I wasn't acknowledged until I made tapping noises and then the chair acknowledged me. And I asked Mr. Blue where the status of the winter sports were, such as wrestling. And he didn't know really what to say. And then Kari asked him, are you comfortable answering that question? And he said yes. So he answered the question. Now, those are the types of things that I think that we as a board or a board chair or direct, our staff that is knowledgeable to respond to.
Okay. So that was when we were in the auditorium last year, and I wasn't the chair, so I can't really comment on that. But I think I might maybe recall. I'm not certain.
Yeah, I understand, but I think that in that kind of a situation, it can require, he can respond, because it's just a very simple, oh yes, these are the winter sports that are coming up, rather than possibly making me wait a whole month to get an answer that was very simply, being able to ask.
Okay.
I think we have some of those that come up. Mr. Schimmel has had some questions that we have not answered. And yet, to me, they were very, very simple responses.
I think we actually did, because the last time Mr. Schimmel commented, I read his comments, and almost everything that we addressed all of his comments that night.
That's one night. I remember him talking about the possibility of getting the high school dances back and how important it was for the kids, and we didn't acknowledge it. Now, I do know that he made an appointment to talk to Dr. Hattrick afterwards, but, it could have just simply been, come in with Dr. Hattrick, or, yeah, that is something that we're looking at,
So I might be able to clarify some of this. So it was a learning opportunity, I think, for the district, especially before you were a board member. And so I took that to heart, because one of the things that we want to do is be customer service oriented. That's not a term used often in education, but I think it's still valid. And so more often than not, we follow up with people that do board comments. So you mentioned Mr. Schimmel. I've probably had 3 or 4 meetings with him. We've extended an invitation for the public comment tonight, which was declined. So we do make attempts to meet with everyone that I can recall this school year to follow up. So that is something that I'm doing, following board comments to further clarify, or even just a quick thank you. I remember a board comment, it was either last board meeting or the previous, there was just a quick message, thanks for presenting, that was great. So we are doing those things. Those are things that will always go unnoticed. But do know that that practice changed this fall.
Okay, and I do agree with you on that. I mean, I have seen where we are, you know, we have taken more steps to, you know, to meet and talk with the citizens that are
Absolutely.
bringing up issues.
And I had a conversation with Mr. Schimmel also, and have thanked him for his comments.
Mm-hmm.
I will try to be nicer, but I think there's a limit to, you know, how nice it's required when it's an ideological perspective. So I will be respectful of everybody's comments, whether I agree with you or not. I promise.
Can't ask for any more than
But-
that.
Yes. And I would say we do need to smooth the language between the ugly pink form and what's in our policy, because they're
Yeah.
completely inconsistent, and it gives a really mixed message to me, who's not nice, and the people who want me to be nice. And Mr. Harding still has his hand up.
I was just going to point out that if you read the heading of the policy, the policy intends to try to enhance or encourage public participation to some degree. And then it goes on to give some limitations of how the board can control it, which I think the policy does a very good job on that. I just think I think our discussion about it has been productive. And I think changing that middle section of that you're talking about would be helpful.
It's not nice. Excellent. So with any other comments on it, without any other comments on that, we will, no, Mr. Heisey.
Madam Chair, as I've read question 5 several times, to me, it's pretty simple. We just got to be able to understand the difference between someone voicing an opinion or making a statement or asking a genuine question. That's where we need to figure out when we respond and when we don't. So it's basically whether they're making a statement or asking a question. That's, to me, it's black and white.
Thank you. So now let's move to C, foreign exchange student diplomas, refer to policy JECBA. Mr. Hattrick, Dr. Hattrick, I almost decredentialed you.
Oh my goodness, I can live with that, that's okay. Well, good evening, everybody. So it's been interesting to look at exchange students. And so you recall at the beginning of the year, we were able to extend admission at Rainier School District to more exchange students, I think, than ever before, which is fantastic. Additionally, we've got a policy, JECBA, which does suggest that a high school diploma may be awarded at regular commencement exercises to all foreign exchange students who successfully meet the necessary academic requirements during the year in which they attend. While this is in board policy, this is one of the challenges I've been up against since starting at Rainier. We've never actually provided a diploma to a foreign exchange student. And so I was really encouraged that one of our current foreign exchange students was strongly advocating on behalf of all of our foreign exchange students. And he is here to speak with us tonight. So I would like to introduce, please forgive me if I do this terribly, Yurshi Antoniou. Oh, I did terrible, didn't I?
It was close.
A C? Can I have a C for it? I'll take a C. Please go ahead.
All right. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Jiří Antoni.
The same.
I am from the Czech Republic in Europe, and this year I'm studying at Rainier Junior Senior High School, and I am 17 years old, so I'm currently in 12th grade. And the issue I wish to discuss is your policy regarding issuing diplomas to foreign exchange students, such as myself. My obvious motivation tonight is to ask for the honor of receiving a diploma from Rainier. And I have two very personal reasons for wanting to receive one. First, an American diploma, I believe, has internationally greater value than one from most European countries. And I would be honored to return to my home country with one in hand. And more importantly, many European education systems are stuck in the 1800s, and they don't accept foreign exchange or foreign credits. And exchange students are therefore forced to attend 2 additional grades in their home country after graduating in the US. And earning a diploma is extremely important to me, and I have done extensive research regarding the subject. Now, according to federal law, there is nothing preventing exchange students from earning diplomas. On the state level, there is the 24 credit requirement, but these units may be earned outside of standard courses. They can be awarded for prior mastery or by collection of evidence. That would be diplomas or transcripts, even from our countries. And finally, on the local level, as Dr. Hedrick mentioned, there is the policy JECBA currently in effect. This Rainier School District policy was adopted in December 2019, and it states a high school diploma may be awarded as regular commencement exercises to all foreign exchange students who successfully meet the necessary academic requirements during the year in which they attend. And if I'm reading this policy correctly, then it should be possible for a foreign exchange student to return to their home country with this honor. So now you're probably wondering what the reason for the comment is. And with this information, I talked to numerous people at the school and district levels about my ability to earn a diploma, and all I got in return was the insistence that diplomas are not issued to exchange students. And although this has been the past practice, from what I understand, the school board has a chance this evening to right this wrong and simply allow students studying at Rainier Junior Senior High School from various countries to earn a diploma. It is already in policy, now let's put it into practice. So I asked the board to consider allowing exchange students to receive a Rainier School District diploma, as the policy JECBA states. And I hope you will strongly consider this request. And I assure you that I, along with the other exchange students, have already perfect places on our walls reserved to hang a diploma from your district. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and have a great evening.
I would recognize that my daughter swims, Jerry, and calls him Reggie. I don't know.
Yeah, that is true.
So I have 2 exchange students who I'm honored to share a home with, and one has repeat this year. So she'll be a year behind in Germany when she goes back, and the other one is studying furiously because when she gets home, she's tested to make sure that she's at the same place where her peers are back home so that she doesn't have to repeat the grade. Since we're not voting, I will give you my opinion and then I'll pass it around. There's an important word in policy language. May means we can. If it says shall, it means we will. We have the option, since it says may, to award a diploma, and the only specified time period is during the year in which they attend. I don't know that it's appropriate for every exchange student to get a diploma. I don't know that every exchange student who comes here would want a diploma. I think the benefit of studying here, what we get from them, may be what they're here for, not necessarily the diploma, but if a student does want to get a diploma, that they should have that option. And we are given that option in policy. That's my opinion. Ms. Usher, do you have anything you want to throw out?
No, I mean, it's in our policy, and I feel like they deserve it if it's a diploma that they deserve.
Mr. Heisey, did you want to add anything?
The only thing I really want to add or say is I commend Mr. Uri for coming and speaking on behalf of all his other fellow exchange students and yourself. It takes a lot of courage to step up in front of the board like this. I wish you luck, and I have no disagreement with, if they've earned it, they should get it.
Mr. Harding?
Well, I'd like to say that you did a very good job of your presentation. I was really impressed on that. And my question is, do they have, to get a diploma and under this thing, do they have to make the, 26 credit thing on that, or do we have a credit that do we get a transcript that what they have done on that? So,
So all of our foreign exchange students do come with the transcript, which we would evaluate. And then once it's evaluated, we determine what their course plan would be to be able to fulfill the requirements to get a Rainier High School diploma.
So, it sounds to me like they have earned it when they're done with the with this year. They've earned, that designation. I get, from the sounds of it.
There's a lot of factors. So obviously, a student would have to come here and actually have credits to be a senior, and then we put them in their senior courses. So it may not be available to someone in a younger grade, obviously. And so, we would just evaluate the transcript like a junior entering into the senior year to build their classes and then meet the graduation requirements.
Right. That sounds like something they should be given when they, are done with the year. To me.
Ms. Hendricks, did you have anything?
Yes, we've had the experience of having 2 foreign exchange students while my kids were in high school. One was from Colombia, and he came here as a senior, and he completed all of his classes and had enough credits to graduate with his class. They did give him a diploma. The other foreign exchange student we had was from Mexico, and he did not meet the qualifications, and so he got a certificate of attendance. So I wholeheartedly support if they're doing the work and they got the credits and they put in the time, they need that diploma. I mean, that's a lot of work. I mean, to come to a foreign country and to dive into, our academic, and I think they deserve it. And I do think that some kids, don't.
Or they may be too young. They haven't gotten
Or they
through all
may
the
be too
classes yet.
young, or like in his case, he flat just didn't want to learn English, and, so he just got a certificate of attendance.
Ms. Richardson?
Very much for presenting to us tonight, and I love how Dr. Placido put it. A diploma may be awarded. May means we can, and I feel as though if a student is here and they have met the requirements and we have the appropriate transcripts, then by all means, hand them a diploma.
Yeah. And and I don't know where it started. Somebody who's been here longer than me probably knows the answer. But we have the exchange students, regardless of what grade they're actually in, they're treated like a senior. So they go through all the senior stuff, which includes paying for a cap and a gown and going through graduation. So, going through the graduation ceremony, and then if you wanted the diploma and you met the requirements and worked hard for it, it seems like you should get the reward. But
Well, I thank you. It was not an action item, but as I'm discovering policies that aren't necessarily implemented, and this one did have the may, so it could go either way, but I like to just bring it to your attention. So thank you. Huge thank you to Yuri. You'll be excited to hear that we'll be evaluating your transcripts.
yay.
Those are the words he's been anxiously waiting to hear.
And really fantastic presentation, by the way. Okay, I think we're to items for board action. We finally got there, you guys. Okay, so first up is ESSER 3. Dr. Hattrick.
Thank you. This should be very quick. This has been presented to you before, the ESSER plan. Back in October or November, we presented it to you. But because there are so many expenditures, we didn't do a formal approval, and I would like to do a formal approval simply because there's so much money. Now, again, I remember some of the questions about, can we revise the ESSER plan? Yes, we can revise the ESSER plan at any point, but because it's grant funds in the total amount of 1.8 million, I think that warrants board approval, so.
Okay, so you would like an approval of the ESSER 3 draft plan?
Yep, the draft. Which would include the activities. Yes.
I make a motion to approve the Rainier School District ESSER 3 draft plan as
So-
so laid out.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Harding?
How hard is it to modify the plan? What does it take to modify the plan?
I send an email to Oregon Department of Education. It's very easy. This grant is very flexible for that.
And then, you know, with the ESSER amount, do we make a line item in the financials for ESSER 3 and then have so a person can see the expenditures of just ESSER 3, you know, things, you know, on that as time goes on? We have, what, 3 years to spend it?
It's, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not one line, but it's one section for the ESSER grant.
So the ESSER dollars is in its own special fund. So then we have it itemized out by ESSER 1, 2, and 3 by a sub area. So you can pull a report out and look at what was spent. You could do that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's a lot of money, you know, you'd like to see if, how, and if the person wants to try to get some change to it, you know, and that down the line.
Yep.
I think that'd be great if we had that, so.
Yeah, so it's in the budget. I mean, we have to account for every revenue and expense, so it's in the budget documents. You bet.
Any other discussion? I would, I don't want a second. I would nod my head. If we could have a line add into our financial report that tells us what we're spending.
ESSER or all grants?
I think ESSER.
Okay.
That would be amazing, I
Okay.
think. Maybe
I'll
even
talk to
quarterly?
business office and
would
see
be
how.
okay?
Yeah, you're not going to see much activity
No.
monthly.
No,
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk it through.
good. Any other discussion, board members? Nope. All those in favor of approving the ESSER 3 draft plan, raise your right hand. Okay. And nobody was opposed. The REA MOU.
All right. Well, it may be appropriate to combine B and C because they are identical. Both the teachers union and classified union were provided with memorandum of understandings between the district and their respective unions, which basically just puts one of the items that's in the ESSER plan into action. Because it's a change from the current contract, we have to acknowledge it on an MOU, which you'll see they're both identical. So I don't know if it works better to do each separately or do them together, but.
Dr. Hattrick?
Hang on one second. They're MOUs with two different contracts, so I think my
Do 'em
inclination
separate?
would be to do them separate.
Okay.
Thank you, that's what I was gonna ask to do because I cannot vote on the REA.
Good. So can I have a motion to approve the REA with the MOU with REA? Ugh, too many letters.
I make a motion to approve the MOU with REA as drafted.
Any seconds? Hendricks. Any comments?
I shall abstain for ethical reasons.
Yep. Ms. Usher?
So what is the total cost of the MOUs? And that's one of my questions. And then also, I guess, who would be excluded from these? Is another question, because I feel like it's, I guess, who, and
So.
what would we be doing for them?
Perfect question. So the reason for the MOU, so again, so the ESSER plan, it extends to all employees. So this line item is all employees. It's item 6 in this document, and I can send you an electronic if you can't read it like I can't right now, but it's number 6. So that includes everybody. So the reason for the MOU is just because it's a wage that's not spelled out in the contract, so we're just adding it to the teacher and classified unions contract. So the total cost for the entire district is, I don't have that in front of me, but it's just under 120,000.
For the whole district?
Yep. $105,837. Thank you. And so those not represented on an MOU is the administrative team. They're non-union members, and so the ESSER grant included them. Does that make sense?
All contract. You are
All employees.
tech.
Yep.
All
All employees. So it's under the ESSER, so this is just to reflect the contract change.
okay.
Yep.
Ms. Hendricks?
Does this cover coaches that have individual contracts with the school?
No, not if they are not. So if they're a member of the union, that means they're already part of the classified or certified. So it's those employees, but it's not the,
Basketball coaches?
right, the non-union, yeah, correct. Mhm.
Ms. Richardson, did you have any questions?
Thank you.
Anybody, Mr. Heisey, did you have any questions? Since we're lumping kind of both the discussions into one, it seems. Okay. Any further questions or comments on the MOU with REA? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the MOU with REA, raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 abstention. And then the MOU with OSEA. Can we get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with OSEA.
Okay. Any discussion?
Well, can we ask the same questions again?
Yeah, let's do it all over. I'm assuming the answers would be the same. Any comments on this one? No. Mr. Heisey, since you're not abstaining, do you have any comments you want to make?
No, ma'am.
Okay, great. So all those in favor of approving the MOU with OSEA, raise your right hand. Excellent. And none opposed. So now we go to D, the proposed budget calendar. Mr. Hattrick, Dr. Hattrick. Oh my, too many misters and
You
Mrs.
can call me anything you want, that's okay.
No, Dr. Hattrick.
So we are proposing the budget calendar, which is the 2022-23 budget. So that is for the 22-23 budget, which happens in 21-22, to clarify that. It took me a couple times. There was one typo which we've fixed. We provide you with another copy, which is other important dates at the bottom, Monday, May 2nd, 2022. I apologize. This budget committee piece of the agenda was a bit messy. It didn't really get our full attention last week. But that is the final draft proposed budget calendar. See, now I've lost it.
Who's our third vacancy?
There is not a third. So that was also incorrect from the previous. Which
It
version
says
are you looking
Monday,
at?
board declares 3 vacant positions.
That's a correction we also didn't make. See?
So
So
we're
we'll be
actually
asking for 2.
declaring 2
Correct.
vacant positions.
Yes.
Excellent. Ms. Hendricks and Mr. Tift. It's a great way for people in the community to get involved.
It is.
I won't say it's fun,
No.
but it's a short duration assignment. So what do we need to do here?
So looking
we need to approve
for,
it.
yes, the calendar.
I need a motion to approve the calendar with the change under other important dates to board declares 2 vacant positions. Anybody want to make that motion?
I make a motion to approve the 2022-2023 budget calendar and committee with the correction of board declares 2 vacant positions.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. And, oh, what do you know? We're going to announce the budget committee vacancies. So what do we need to do to announce these vacancies? We just announce them?
You just announced vacancies, and we will have the application available on our website on the board page.
Okay. Sorry, I'm reading quickly. So I don't think we need to do anything since we did just do that.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think declaring it an open meeting is fine.
Oy. Look on the website. Everybody apply. It's great work. Board comments. Want to go around the room? Yeah, let's do it. Miss Usher, any comments?
No, we have 4 more days of school, so I just wish everybody a happy holidays and a relaxing break.
Good. Mr. Heisey?
Again, Yuri, thank you. That was outstanding. Also, this is going to be kind of selfish, but a shout out to Angelique Heisey. Welcome aboard. And also to all the other new members. One other thing is to piggyback with Miss Usher. Happy holidays. Hope everybody stays safe. Thank you.
Mr. Harding?
Well, wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a enjoyable holidays on that. And when we come back, maybe we could talk about having some work sessions and discuss some things on, next year on that. So all have a great Christmas.
Ms. Hendricks?
I want to wish everybody a happy holiday and thank the teachers for all that they do, and hope that they really take this time to get some R&R. I think you guys all deserve it. Thank you for bringing to the board on the foreign exchange student graduation. I appreciate that. I think that was, a really top-notch thing because you guys work hard, and I think you deserve it as well.
Ms. Richardson?
Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you, Debbie Webster, for dinner tonight. It was wonderful. And Yuri, thank you so much for presenting, and good luck.
So I'm going to use my sandwich method. So I will begin with good. Yuri, that was amazing. Again, thank you very much for coming. We have huge student attendance, as you can see, so we greatly value your perspective. And the bad, I guess it's bad, sort of. I feel really bad when I read a public comment like I had to read tonight about people not feeling safe in our board meetings. That bothers me greatly. I don't feel safe based on, we've had comments from local law enforcement, sheriff specifically, that says he will not enforce any kind of vaccine mandates or mask mandates or anything like that. I left law enforcement behind long ago and don't feel safe enforcing masking requirements in this space, but I also, it's hard to invite people to come here when we're, people are not following the rules. We had to listen to an update from Dr. Hattrick about how our district cannot participate in the Test to Stay program because students are not wearing their masks. It's hard to expect our students to wear our masks when parents can't come to a meeting and wear a mask. It's not that hard. I wear it all day long. Do I like it? No, I hate it. But I'll do it so that I can do whatever I need to do next. So my deepest apologies to this family and anybody else who feels like they're not safe coming to the meeting. I will ask that people who would like to attend a school board meeting without a mask on, please attend it via YouTube. We'll see what happens. I don't know how to enforce it at a meeting other than closing the meeting. So I think that was my bad. And my good is Merry Christmas to you all. You have been, it's been a joy to serve with you the last 6 months.